Movies and movie theaters have a long history in the United States and the world. By the mid-1890s, Le Prince, Friese Greene, the Lumiere brothers, and Thomas Edison had developed commercially viable movie cameras. In 1893, Edison built the world's first film production studio, the Cinematographic Theater. The first films shot at the Black Maria included plays, magic shows, vaudeville performances, dancers and strongmen, acts from Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, various boxing matches and cockfights, and scantily clad women. These early films were very short, lasting only 30 seconds to a few minutes. The Execution of Mary Stuart, a short film produced in 1895 by the Edison Company for viewing with the kinetoscope, showed Mary Queen of Scots being executed in full view of the camera. It was 18 seconds long and may have been the first film in history to use trained actors. It is the first known film to use special effects, specifically the stop camera trick. The first successful permanent theater showing only films in the U.S. was the Nickelodeon, which opened in Pittsburgh in 1905. It didn't project films, but instead had numerous kinetoscopes. By 1907, cinemas for motion pictures were being opened across the United States, Britain, and France. The first true projected on-screen motion picture theater was the Regent. It opened in Paterson, New Jersey on September 14, 1914. The films were often shown with musical accompaniment provided by a pianist or small group of musicians. The program would consist of multiple short films totaling around 30 minutes. Shows often contained vaudeville entertainers performing before and after the film projection portion of the program. Early on, silent movies weren't really silent. They would have musicians and orchestras playing music and making sound effects along with the projected film. But orchestras were expensive, and it was hard to ship a movie around with an orchestra. In the early 1920s, the use of the pipe organ became the standard way of adding music to a projected film. This, of course, led to the demise of many movie orchestras. One organist could play the accompaniment to a film, including sound effects like bells, whistles, drums, and other sounds. The pipe organ had made the movie orchestra obsolete. The United States went on a movie palace building boom in the middle and late 1920s. The rise of the pipe organ as part of the movie palace hit its peak in the late 1920s, just before the first shocks of the Great Depression. Between 1914 and 1922, 4,000 movie palaces opened in the United States. By 1929, Paramount operated 1,200 theaters, with Fox close behind at 1,100. In 1930, there were over 22,000 theaters in operation in the U.S., and theater attendance was 90 million tickets sold per week in 1930. The total population of the U.S. was only 122 million. These theaters were seen as showplaces, and there was a race to build the biggest theater and have the biggest pipe organ. There were numerous manufacturers of pipe organs for movie theaters, but the leading company was Wurlitzer. The Michigan Theater in Detroit opened August 23, 1926. It had seating for over 4,000 people, palatial in design, and cost over $42 million in today's dollars to build. It had classical Greek and Roman sculptures and a Mighty Wurlitzer pipe organ to match. Its Wurlitzer is named the Opus 1351. It was a 5-manual pipe organ with 28 ranks of pipes and approximately 2,000 pipes as originally installed, the largest Wurlitzer ever built for a movie theater. Only 3 of that size were ever manufactured by Wurlitzer. The history of movies is one of technology innovation constantly replacing the prior technology. This same fate would befall the pipe organ in the movie palaces. The peak of the movie palace construction and pipe organ production coincided in 1929 with the release of talking movies and the start of the Great Depression. The first feature film sound movie, The Jazz Singer, was released in 1927. Thus, the pipe organ's days in movie palaces were numbered. Over 7,000 pipe organs were manufactured for movie theaters by Wurlitzer, Kimball, and other manufacturers. Very few still exist. Recycling drives during World War II resulted in many instruments being disassembled and scrapped. Some were just junked because they were no longer in use in theaters, and some were destroyed when the theaters themselves were demolished. This marked the halcyon days of the grand pipe organ and silent movies.